Hey everyone. So, once again, these scientists, which are a very small group, are claiming that what's happening in Texas is due to climate change. The funny part was, what was it, 2 years ago when it was hotter than Hades in Texas and all them wildfires, or maybe it's a little longer than that. Maybe it's 4 or 5. It was climate change. And that's what's going to happen. And all the oceans were going to melt. All the Greenland and everybody else was going to melt. Everybody was going to be underwater. Now you notice they're changing their tune. Now they're saying we're going into an ice age. This is not anything new. It's funny. Farmer's Almanac did a study. What year was it in their almanac? I think 2015, 2014. And they showed what the scientists were predicting. And it was almost a perfect sine wave, where ice age, heat wave, ice age, heat wave. You know, when I was a kid, America was creating so much pollution, it was going to create an ice age. That's how they shut down all America's steel mills, enacted all these environmental regulations that killed American steel. And then, when that fell apart, it was the ozone layer was going to be destroyed. And that's when they destroyed all the chemical plants in the United States. I mean, they just never stopped. The funny thing is, it's not even funny. It's sad that American people continue to fall for this BS. Because they forget the sun is what causes this stuff. You talk to any meteorologist, what is the cause of all weather on Earth? It's the sun. Sometimes the sun's hotter than normal. We do these things. Sometimes the sun's a little cooler than normal. This happens. We go through these cyclical things. We're still coming out of the little ice age. You know, they've been measuring ocean levels now for, I don't know, almost 20 years now, and it hasn't gone up, which quite honestly surprises me a little bit, because I thought it would go up, because we're coming out of a mini ice age. We fought the Revolutionary War during a mini ice age. So you would expect the waters to come up a little bit as the earth warms up. Again, I said it like in a separate video. There's a reason there's cities that were once great populated cities that are now underwater, and there are now ports that were once thriving ports and cities that are abandoned, that are a mile or so away from water, because the oceans rise. And you know how you can really tell if if the people in the know are worried about? Have they stopped building um, luxury hotels, luxury homes, mansions on the waterfront? No, they haven't. They're still building them. The first thing Al Gore did after his book that brought him millions of dollars, and then the movie, of course, the first thing he did was, after he claimed that the ocean would rise 20 feet in, what did he say, 10 years, something like that, he went down and bought $1 million waterfront condo in San Francisco on the ground floor. Somebody please explain to me, if you believed in 10 years the ocean would rise by 20 feet, that you would buy waterfront property in San Francisco. I don't understand that. You know, what how do I want to say this? People are constantly saying they're looking for a sun like ours throughout the universe that could sustain life. And they haven't found one yet. And the reason is we have the most stable sun, at least that what we have found in the universe at this point forward, because our sun doesn't fluctuate a huge lot. You know, there's suns that are comparable to ours, stars that are comparable to our sun. Yellow, blah, blah, blah. But then every 10, 15, 20 years, whatever it may be, 100 years, they let off a huge solar flare or something like that would obliterate everything on the planet. If our sun acted like that, virtually every civilization on Earth would be destroyed within every 100 years. And that kind of brings me to another point. They keep talking about all these record temperatures in the United States, record lows in Texas, record lows in California, record highs in Texas, record highs in California. You know how much data we have on weather in like Texas, California, New Mexico, Montana, Alaska? Less than 200 years. $200 is nothing in the scheme of things. That's 1/10 of the time that Jesus walked on the face of the earth. We don't have a clue how many hurricanes hit America 250, 300 years ago. We don't have a clue of how many of these ice storms hit. Now, we do have a clue on certain things like floods, because we can study that. But that's still iffy to a point. Well, we can at least study that. But we have no idea how many massive heat storms. You know, these liberals talk about the deforestation of America. What they don't talk about is we have more trees in America today than when the Pilgrims landed. And I know that sounds extreme because you've been pretty much brainwashed the whole time about what's going on, but you gotta think about it reasonably. Okay, we've cut down a lot of trees. There's no doubt about that, and the blight that killed all the elm trees, that was a bad thing. But you've got places in Kansas that were prairies that are now forests the size of West Virginia almost. If you drive down I-5 in California, it's nothing but orchards. There were no trees there 300 years ago. Might have been trees there 600-700 years ago, depending on everything else, but I hardly think that a few hundred Indians had any effect on that. If you go up the Sword and you walk the glacier up there, they got these signs. This is where the glacier is. That glacier's been melting since 1820. There's a reason people used to live in Greenland, and it was called Greenland. And then it was abandoned because at one point in time during the medieval warm period, where Greenland was habitable. They don't even teach that anymore. That used to be part of 7th grade geology or whatever it was. I don't remember now. We were taught that. And, I would love for the earth to warm up a little bit. It creates more, if you warm the earth up, you can produce more food. It's just astounding to me how these few so-called experts can sway hundreds of millions of people into acting irrationally. And I don't know what we do about it, because it's clear to me that people aren't educated properly on past temperature change. And it's right there in the books. And they're trying to delete it. And they don't teach them anymore. But previous books and previous geologists or weatherologists or whatever you want to call them taught it, because the facts proved them right. But now, see, the facts don't match their political goals. So you got to change the facts. Anyway, that's all I got to say about it. You all have a good day.